Have you ever felt like you are just running incredibly fast, completely exhausting yourself, but somehow staying in the exact same place?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, constantly.
Right. I'm talking specifically about your professional life here. Like, you hit the quarterly target, or you get that promotion, or you finally buy the thing you just knew would make you feel like you've arrived.
And then, 2 weeks later.
Yes, 2 weeks later, you're right back to staring over the horizon, feeling that exact same baseline of just low-grade anxiety.
Yeah, it's practically the defining psychological condition of the modern professional era, really.
It is. And if you're nodding your head right now, you are definitely not alone. So today we are doing a deep dive into a stack of sources that offer a completely, well, just a mind-bending perspective on why we actually do this.
Yeah, the contrast in the material we're looking at today is just fascinating.
It really is. We're looking at this incredible blend of hard, modern economic and psychological data, and it's paired with ancient Vedic texts, specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Right. Because the ultimate diagnosis for our modern epidemic of burnout actually comes from a 5,000-year-old text.
Which is wild. And the core insight was delivered by a 5-year-old saint named Prahlada Maharaja.
I love that part. I mean, we have empirical data from 2025 sitting on the exact same table as the wisdom of a saintly child from antiquity.
And they are pointing to the exact same root cause of human distress.
They really are.
So, our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the core paradox of why our frantic pursuit of happiness actually, manufactures our distress.
Right.
And then we're going to look at a highly practical 3-step roadmap for surviving a high-stress professional life. And we'll be using this ancient principle called Yukta Viraja.
It's a game changer, honestly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the modern statistics in these sources paint a really jarring picture of where we are currently at as a society.
Yeah, they reveal a landscape of just, well, systemic exhaustion.
Exactly. I mean, look at the financial side of the sources. U.S. credit card debt is projected to hit a record $1.28 trillion by the fourth quarter of 2025.
That is just a staggering number.
Right. We are literally borrowing money to fund a chase for happiness that never actually arrives. We're pushing ourselves into deeper distress just to buy joy.
And the psychological toll is just as bleak. I mean, if you look at the 2025 workplace report.
Oh, yeah, the one showing millennial burnout sitting at 84%.
Yes. Because, the assumption is usually that burnout is just a symptom of struggling at the lower ends of the economic ladder.
Like if you just earn enough, the anxiety will magically go away.
Exactly. But the data completely shatters that assumption.
It really does. The sources highlight a burnout rate of nearly 63% among highly compensated physicians.
Wow.
Think about that. These are professionals at the absolute apex of social prestige and financial compensation.
They've basically won the modern game by every metric we're taught to value.
Right. Yet they are experiencing massive emotional and psychological exhaustion. So the material output clearly isn't insulating them from the distress of the pursuit itself.
What's fascinating here is how precisely this modern data mirrors the 5,000-year-old diagnostic from Prahlada Maharaja.
Okay, tell us about that.
So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically verse 7.7.42 Sangi, he presents a thesis on human suffering that completely flips our normal intuition upside down.
Flips it how?
Well, the translation essentially says that in this world, everyone desires to achieve happiness and diminish distress. But actually, you're happy only as long as you do not actively endeavor for happiness.
Wait, I really need to process that.
I know, it's heavy.
As soon as you begin your activities for happiness, your conditions of distress begin. I mean, that is a massive paradox.
Right, because we are taught from childhood that happiness is something you have to, hunt down and build.
Exactly. But the modern psychological research in our stack completely validates that ancient paradox, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Researchers at the University of Toronto, Maglio and Kim, they identified something they call the happiness-seeking spiral.
The happiness-seeking spiral.
Yeah. They found that the conscious, active pursuit of happiness actually drains our self-control and generates profound internal stress.
Oh, wow. So just trying to be happy stresses us out.
Exactly. When we decide we need to, quote-unquote, be happy, we become hyper-focused on our emotional state. We start constantly comparing how we feel right now in this exact moment to some idealized future state.
Like where we finally have the corner office or the beach house.
Yes, and that gap between the present reality and the idealized future is just pure anxiety.
It ties perfectly into what behavioral economists call the hedonic treadmill.
Oh, for sure.
Like you grind for 3 years to get the new luxury car, you finally get it, and you experience this massive temporary spike of dopamine.
Right, it feels great for a minute.
But the human brain is wired for adaptation. After a month, your mind just resets to
It
baseline.
just becomes normal.
Exactly. The new luxury is just your new normal. Your aspirations artificially rise. And now you are forced to run even faster on the treadmill just to feel that same level of pleasure again.
It creates this ever-receding horizon. You are structurally prevented from reaching the destination because the destination literally moves the
Wow.
moment you touch it.
I mean, there's a brilliant analogy in our sources from a modern spiritual teacher, Srila Prabhupada. He compared this frantic modern lifestyle to a dog's race.
A dog's race.
Yeah, imagine you go to a park, right? And you see a dog running frantically from one side of the fence to the other, totally stressed out, tongue hanging out, just chasing cars.
Okay, I can picture that.
Well, Prabhupada points out that civilized humans are doing the exact same thing. We are running frantically from this side of the city to that side of the city, but because we're doing it in air-conditioned luxury cars on 4 wheels, we mistakenly think we are, civilized.
Man, that is so accurate.
Right. The psychology of the striving is identical to the dog in the park. The machinery is just upgraded.
And that upgraded machinery just traps us in a loop. Determination to upgrade, frantic, ambitious endeavor, temporary acquisition, and then the crushing realization that the joy didn't last.
Which just fuels the anxiety to run the loop all over again.
Exactly.
Which brings up a very logical question, I think. If this treadmill is so visibly exhausting, if we can look at the data and see it driving us into trillion-dollar debt and burning out our best doctors, why can't we just hit the stop button?
It's a great question.
Like, what is the hidden psychological engine keeping our legs moving?
So according to Vedic philosophy, the hidden engine is something called the false ego, or ahankara.
Ahankara.
Yes, this is considered the deepest layer of our material illusion. The false ego is basically the voice inside that convinces you, I am the doer.
I am the doer.
Right. It tells you that you are the independent, sovereign architect of your own destiny. We deeply believe that through sheer willpower, complex economic planning, and manipulating the physical world, we can engineer lasting joy and permanently banish suffering.
So, we genuinely think we're in the driver's seat of the universe?
We really do. But the ancient texts offer a very different, very humbling reality.
What do they say?
The Bhagavad Gita explains that this physical body we inhabit is actually just a complex biological machine, a yantra.
Okay, a machine.
Yeah, it's made of material energy, and it is ultimately directed by the Supreme Lord situated in the heart. The body is described as parakya, which means borrowed property.
Borrowed property. Wow.
It belongs to material nature, not to us, and it is ultimately destined to be consumed by time.
So wait, we are exhausting ourselves trying to independently steer a rented vehicle that is actually already on a fixed track.
Exactly. And that fixed track brings us to one of the most challenging concepts in these texts, which is the fixed cosmic quota.
Okay, tell me about the quota.
The philosophy states that you have a predestined quota of distress. I mean, think about it realistically. No one actively endeavors to get a disease or face a sudden market collapse or, experience a betrayal.
No, of course not.
Yet these miseries arrive automatically by the unalterable force of time.
Right, they just show up uninvited. I mean, no one puts get a migraine on their Google Calendar, but it happens anyway.
Exactly. And the texts argue that by that exact same unalterable law, your specific quantum of material happiness is also predestined.
Wait, really?
Yes. It will arrive automatically based on past actions.
Yeah.
So, frantic material effort, all that churning on the corporate treadmill, it cannot actually increase the total volume of material happiness you are destined to experience in this lifetime.
It just generates the turbulence of distress.
Precisely.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
If my happiness and distress are a fixed quota and time is just going to deliver them to my doorstep no matter what, isn't that just, I don't know, fatalism?
It sounds like it, I know.
Does ancient wisdom just want you to quit your high-stress corporate job, sit on the couch and say, well, whatever will be, will be?
No, not at all. The instruction here isn't laziness or fatalistic inaction. It is redirection.
Redirection.
The texts don't want you to stop acting. They want you to stop acting under a delusion. To understand why we have to redirect our energy, we first have to fully grasp just how tragically misdirected our current efforts really are.
Misdirected in what way, though?
Well, let's look at the concept of sanabangura. It means the material world is inherently perishable in a moment.
Perishable in a moment.
Right. Modern society implements exhaustive structural planning to secure a safe life. We build diversified 401ks, we buy premium health insurance, we move to gated communities.
Other responsible things, yeah.
But building your ultimate sense of security on material assets is described as a person carefully constructing a beautiful, expensive house just to live happily, fully aware that the foundation is currently on fire.
Oh, wow.
The fundamental nature of the material world is that it acts as a fire designed to eventually consume everything: wealth, health, and the body itself. No amount of municipal engineering or financial planning can permanently secure a realm that is inherently designed to burn.
Whoa, so you're saying my 401k, my health insurance, all that structural planning I lose sleep over is essentially just decorating a burning house?
In a spiritual sense, yes.
That is a tough pill to swallow for a listener with 2 kids and a mortgage, you know?
Hmm.
It feels almost nihilistic to look at your life's work that way.
I get that. But it feels nihilistic only if you believe the house is all you have. The text emphasized the burning house, not to make you depressed, but to wake you up so you exit the building and find the actual treasure.
You know, that makes me think of something else in the sources, the musk deer analogy.
Oh, I love that.
I just love how this illustrates the misdirection we're talking about. So in the Himalayas, there is a specific type of musk deer that has a gland in its navel producing this incredibly fragrant scent.
Right.
The deer gets intoxicated by this beautiful smell, and it just starts running frantically through the forest, searching everywhere for the source of the fragrance.
Letting exhausting itself.
Yes. It exhausts itself. It runs into predators, completely unaware that the treasure it is looking for is literally already inside its own body.
It spends its entire life searching the external world for something internal.
And you can map that so perfectly to a high-stress corporate professional today.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, imagine a marketing executive working 80-hour weeks, sweeping the external world with complex economic planning, just trying to extract a drop of joy from a new title or a bonus check.
Right.
They are completely oblivious to the immense, dormant spiritual bliss that the Vedic texts say is already present within the core of their identity. They are searching the forest, but the fragrance is within.
Which brings up the pivotal question, right? How do we realize that internal treasure?
Exactly.
The Upanishads provide another profound analogy to help us understand the psychology of this shift. It's the analogy of the 2 birds in a tree.
Oh, yeah. Walk us through that one.
So imagine a tree which represents the material body. Sitting in this tree are 2 birds. The first bird represents the individual consumer soul, which is us.
Okay, that's us.
This bird is frantically hopping from branch to branch, eating the fruits of the tree. Some of the fruits are sweet, representing temporary material successes, and some are very bitter, representing distress and failure.
So the bird is just constantly full of anxiety, trying to avoid the bitter fruits and desperately seeking the sweet ones.
That is us on the hedonic treadmill, constantly chewing on the next project, the next relationship, the next purchase.
Yeah, that tracks perfectly.
But there's a second bird sitting in the exact same tree. This bird represents the super soul, the supreme lord situated in the heart.
And what is the second bird doing?
The second bird is not frantically eating the fruits. He is simply observing his friend, waiting patiently. According to this ancient wisdom, liberation isn't about chopping down the tree. It isn't about flying away to avoid. Liberation is simply a shift in the line of sight.
A shift in the line of sight. What does that actually look like for the bird?
As soon as the frantic, eating bird turns its attention away from the temporary material fruits and looks toward the observing bird, the supreme lord within, it immediately becomes free from all anxieties.
No.
The solution to our distress isn't to engineer sweeter fruits. It is to turn our attention toward our eternal relationship.
Okay, I understand the philosophy of the shift, but let's really ground this back into your daily reality as a listener.
Good idea.
Because shifting your line of sight sounds very poetic if you are, meditating in a forest. But how do we actually do that on a Tuesday afternoon at a marketing firm?
Right, when reality hits.
Exactly. When you have a toxic boss, looming deadlines, and a mortgage to pay, what is the practical roadmap to get off the treadmill without completely ruining your life?
Okay, so the practical framework for the modern professional is that principle called yukta viraga.
Yukta viraga.
Right. One of the modern teachers in our sources describes our normal approach to happiness as trying to water every individual leaf on a tree.
Oh, that sounds exhausting.
It is. We try to independently satisfy our boss, our bank account, our body, our social media followers. It is a scattered, exhausting, endless effort. Yukta Vairagya means watering the root of the tree.
Ah, because if you water the root, the entire tree is automatically nourished.
Exactly. And this is vital for the professional listener. Yukta Vairagya does not mean fleeing the world or abandoning your duties.
Okay, good to clarify.
Yeah, fleeing into unripe renunciation actually leads to massive psychological disturbance. Instead, it means you completely reframe your life. You stop mistaking the material world for the source of your happiness.
Right.
You take your career, your family, your intellect, and your wealth, and instead of using them as ultimate ends for your own sensory indulgence, you engage them as resources in the service of the Supreme Lord.
I see. So it's not about changing what you do necessarily, but entirely changing why and who you are doing it for.
Yes.
So how do we actually implement this? The sources outline a very clear three-step transition from frantic goal-seeking to sustainable spiritual engagement.
All right, let's break it down. The first step is to stop engineering. You have to intellectually and practically accept your destined quota of material flux.
Because we just established that trying to artificially increase your happiness quota is the exact mechanism that generates distress.
Exactly. So let's look at your Tuesday afternoon marketing executive. If a new career move requires taking on massive debt, or sacrificing physical health, or losing peace of mind just to chase a higher standard of living, you have to recognize that as the specific striving that the texts warn against.
You have to actively pull back.
Yes.
So if you get offered a promotion, but it requires, say, 30% more travel and you'll never see your family or have time to even think, you stop volunteering for the dog's race. You decline it.
Precisely.
But if I pull back from this constant striving, I am suddenly going to have a lot of empty space on my calendar. How do I keep from just filling it with a different kind of distraction, like, doom scrolling or superficial networking?
Well, that leads directly to step 2, which is applying the Arthadam test to your daily routines.
The Arthadam test.
Right. The texts state that human life is meaningful. The Sanskrit word is Arthadam, only because it offers the unique opportunity to revive our eternal spiritual relationship.
Okay.
So you audit your pursuits. You look at your calendar, your Tuesday afternoon, and ask, does this activity help me remember the Supreme? Or does it only expand my attachment to a borrowed body that is destined to perish?
Wow.
You use this test to ruthlessly trim the fat from your schedule.
That is a brutal filter. I mean, if you apply that to a typical corporate week, it would completely clear out the endless happy hours that you don't even want to be at, the toxic office gossip, the mindless scrolling.
It reclaims a massive amount of time and psychological energy.
It really would.
Which brings us to the final phase, step 3. Water the root.
Water the root.
You take all that reclaimed frantic energy that you used to spend sweating on the hedonic treadmill, and you redirect it into a daily spiritual practice known as sadhana.
And the sources are very specific about what that practice should be for a person living in the modern age, right?
Yes, very specific. The highly recommended practice is to establish a daily routine of associating with those on the spiritual path, and specifically chanting the holy names, like the Hare Krishna mantra.
Right.
This is considered the direct, practical method of turning the bird's head away from the bitter fruits and toward the supersoul in the heart.
But wait, how does just repeating a mantra actually rewire a brain that has been conditioned by, a decade of 80-hour corporate work weeks? Like, what is the actual mechanism there?
It acts as a profound cognitive and spiritual anchor. When you are chanting, the acoustic vibration demands your focus.
Okay.
Your brain cannot easily obsess over the anxieties of the future or the regrets of the past when it is actively engaged in focused auditory repetition of a spiritual sound.
Oh, that makes sense.
It breaks the dopamine loop of the hedonic treadmill because you are no longer relying on acquiring an external object to feel peace. You are actually accessing the internal fragrance the musk deer was looking for.
Wow.
It gradually dissolves the false ego's grip, replacing the stressful I am the doer mentality with the peaceful reality of being a servant.
So what does this all mean? If we synthesize this entire deep dive, the goal of this 5,000-year-old wisdom isn't to convince you to want less life.
No, not at all.
It's actually telling you that by settling for a promotion and a luxury car, you are settling for way too little. It is urging you to stop spending an eternal life chasing a flickering, perishable one.
Exactly. It frees you from the crushing pressure of having to manufacture your own joy in a world that is constantly shifting.
Right.
When you apply Yukta Vairagya, a late-night message on Slack from a toxic boss stops being a threat to your core identity because your self-worth is no longer anchored to the burning house of corporate hierarchy.
That is incredibly liberating. Let's quickly recap the journey we just took. We started with the very real, statistically verifiable epidemic of modern burnout and debt.
Which is everywhere.
Everywhere. And we diagnosed it through Prahlada Maharaja's ancient realization that the very pursuit of material happiness is the mechanism of our distress.
Right. The paradox.
We explored how the false ego tricks us into thinking we are in control of a borrowed machine on a fixed track. We used the musk deer to see how misdirected our search for joy is.
Yes.
And finally, we discovered how to step off that hedonic treadmill using the three-step practice of Yukta Viraja, stopping the engineering, auditing our time, and watering the root through daily spiritual practice.
It is a complete paradigm shift, honestly. You
Mhm.
transition from being a frantic, exhausted consumer to a peaceful, purposeful instrument.
And as we wrap up, I want to turn it over to our expert for a final, completely different angle for you to think about.
Yeah, I'd like to leave you with this thought to mull over. If your exact quota of material happiness is already guaranteed to arrive in your life without your frantic striving, imagine what incredible eternal things you could achieve if you reinvested all that leftover, anxious energy into discovering the universe already inside of you.
It is a question worth carrying with you. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. The next time you feel the urge to run just a little bit faster, to buy the next upgrade, or to lose sleep over a title, remember the treadmill. Ask yourself if you are actually moving forward or if you just upgraded the machinery you are sweating on. Keep questioning the track you are running on, and we will see you next time.